Hi, my name is Megan. If you're new to this channel, normally my husband would be here, but today he's at work and I'll be filming this alone, mainly because he doesn't really have any input to put into this conversation because I will be talking about my symptoms during my first trimester of my pregnancy. I am currently 13 weeks pregnant with a baby boy, which we actually just found that out like a week ago. So it's super, super exciting. And this is actually my first pregnancy ever. I am 26 years old and completely new to all this, so my only knowledge is based off of what I saw my mom go through during 5 of her pregnancies, aside from being pregnant with me, and what I've learned on the internet. So this will be all about my experience, and I am not a medical professional. I do not know what I'm talking about, but I figured I would share my experience because a lot of the other videos out there on YouTube of other girls talking about how they have been feeling during their pregnancy helped me during my pregnancy, and actually before I got pregnant I watched videos to kind of prepare myself. So that's why I'm filming this today. So if you are interested, stick along. I'll walk week by week throughout my first trimester and how I've been feeling. So let's get started. So I actually wanted to first start with kind of the reasons why I even took a test to begin with. So my main symptom that I had before I found out I was pregnant was night sweats. Oh my gosh, I was sweating so much the first week of, I guess, the week before my period was due. So I don't know, that would have been about like week 3 of my pregnancy. I had terrible night sweats. I would wake up in the middle of the night drenched head to toe. Wasn't sure why. My husband was not sweating at all, so it wasn't like a room temperature thing. I was just so sweaty. I'm not normally, I mean, I'm kind of an average sweaty person, I guess, but during the night I normally do not sweat at all, so that was very, very new to me. And I had heard from like other women and on the internet that night sweats are actually a pretty common early pregnancy symptom, so that kind of was in the back of my mind, but I really didn't think much about it until the day my period was actually due, which was about 4 to 5 days after the night sweats started. And then I actually did experience implantation cramping, or what I assume was implantation cramping. I was getting kind of like period cramps, but they would come and go and they were very short. So it was like 20 seconds of like a cramp. Normally when I have period cramps, they're like really long lasting, like I'll be like an hour's worth of cramping, but this was like short intervals, but like pretty frequent for about 4 to 5 days before my period was due. So I was having cramping, but I really wasn't thinking much of it because I knew my period was supposed to be coming, obviously, which is what makes this all super, super confusing because a lot of pregnancy symptoms are also period symptoms, so that makes it really confusing. And the other reason why I took a test was just because I actually have been testing pretty frequently over the past year after I got my birth control out. I had Nexplanon, which is the arm implant, the bar, and I had that in for 2 years, and before that I was on the mini pill. So since I wasn't on any form of birth control, I was kind of tracking my ovulation and taking pregnancy tests when my period was due. Sometimes I'd be late, but nothing crazy, like 2 days, one day late, and I would test. So testing was not a abnormal thing for me to be doing when I actually took my test that was positive 2 months ago. So let's move into week 4. So this week 4 was also, I guess I found out I was pregnant right around this time. So this kind of would have been continued through the time where I didn't know that I was pregnant and then finding out that I was pregnant. So night sweats continued. I started getting kind of bloated, but also a PMS symptom. So that's really confusing. Let's see, peeing through the night. This is so funny to look back on because it says peeing during the night twice at least. Boy, has that changed. Not just twice anymore, but I'll get into that later. Headaches and loss of appetite. So I was getting constant headaches, which probably has something to do with how dehydrated I am as an individual because I'm terrible at drinking water. I actually have my water bottle right there to remind me to drink water. I'm so terrible at remembering to drink water. Loss of appetite. So I wasn't this might have had something to do with like the beginning of starting to feel nauseous. I never really felt sick, especially during this time. I just noticed that I had a loss of appetite. I wasn't really interested in eating most foods. And so I think that it was more of like a food aversion thing versus like feeling sick. Going into week 5, I'm well aware that I'm pregnant and I'm taking note way more of my symptoms. Okay, so week 5, I wrote down cramps 20 seconds long, like period cramps, a tugging and pulling feeling. So at this point, I know that I'm pregnant very early on, obviously. So implantation or the burrowing must have still been happening at this point. I'm not super aware of exactly what happens week by week, but that's just what I'm assuming, because I was feeling this like tugging feeling, and then it would like disappear after like 15-20 seconds. Those were pretty frequent, and then waves of exhaustion, like a type of exhaustion that I've never felt before. And I had heard women who were pregnant, and even in their first trimester, I've watched videos before I was even pregnant about like the level of exhaustion that they've never felt before, and boy are they right. I just felt so tired. Like I couldn't even keep my eyes open. Yeah, just like this extreme level of exhaustion. I started at this point getting the tender breast and sensitive nipple situation. I know that normally that is an early symptom that women feel before they take a positive pregnancy test, and which is one of the reasons why they take one. It also is a PMS symptom, so that can be really confusing. I wrote down that on September 22nd, and I found out that I was pregnant on the 16th. So this is like not even a week after finding out I'm pregnant. I wrote down, I was upset midday for no reason. So I obviously was getting some sort of like mood shifting, mood changes, kind of without reason, just felt kind of like crabby that day, during the middle of the day specifically, I guess. And so I guess I was starting to get like, you know, those hormonal like mood swings. So that kicked in, and then I was feeling apparently very cold. So I guess some women when they're pregnant run hot, some run cold. Apparently I was feeling really cold week 5. Going into week 6, this is when the nausea started for me. Now, I never actually throughout my pregnancy so far have actually gotten sick and like thrown up, but I have definitely got waves of pretty bad nausea. And that's when this started. I wrote down that I would gag at certain smells, and apparently once at boxed mashed potatoes. I also cried/teared up watching the time lapse of the Christmas decorations being put at Magic Kingdom. I do actually remember this. My husband and I were watching a time lapse on, I think it was on Facebook or YouTube. I had told him about how they turn over Disney like super quickly overnight of the 31st into November 1st. And so I was showing him the video of the time lapse, and yeah, it made me cry. So super emotional, I guess. So extra tired, sleeping in, and needing naps. So this really high level of exhaustion continued throughout week 6. And I did actually go to my primary care doctor before I saw my OBGYN to get my HCG levels tested. So I got my blood drawn for my regular annual physical, and I had her add my HCG levels because I had just, you know, a week and a half prior found out that I was pregnant, so I was curious what my levels were, and they were 10,391, and my results showed that I was probably about 6 weeks pregnant, which was right on the money because I was 6 weeks pregnant. So that was good to know, and it gave me a little bit of a feeling of security before I was even able to go get an ultrasound or see an OBGYN. All right, so 7 weeks. Nausea is continuing. I wrote down so tired. So tired. Craving only salty foods. I do remember this has actually continued throughout my pregnancy. I was not at all really wanting any sort of sweets, especially chocolate. That has kind of shifted now, but for the most part throughout this pregnancy, it's been mainly salty and savory foods that I've been craving. The headaches, so many headaches. So those continued and still have continued. I think I've gotten a little bit better of staying hydrated, which I know has helped, or I assume has helped, but I am more prone to getting headaches. So those continued. Also, low motivation. So along with that like level of exhaustion that I was feeling, I was also feeling low motivation. So I wasn't feeling motivated to do like house chores or like just things like that. Week 8, started to get sick. I actually had a sore throat. I thought that I was starting to get really sick, but it was just like a 24-hour thing. So I did have a sore throat. I was sore and tired. I do remember this night. I woke up actually feeling extremely sore, like my back and thighs. I don't think I did any heavy working out or anything the day before, but I just had felt like I did. So yeah, really, really sore. My body must have been going through some changes or something because I was feeling very, very sore and tired that day especially. Sleeping in. So food aversions really started to kick in during week 8. Normally pre-pregnancy, I would always order a Dunkin' Donuts mocha swirl, iced coffee with creamy sugar. Like that's mine and my husband's go-to drinks. I remember I so far throughout this pregnancy have ordered this drink 3 separate times and not once even taken a sip of it. I just cannot go near it. It just like the thought, even right now, it's just like, I could not drink one, which is so unfortunate because I love this drink and I hope it doesn't ruin it for me post-pregnancy because I do miss it, but the thought of it, absolutely no. So that's really sad. And then also chicken and chocolate, definitely no-goes for me. I wrote down still craving salty foods and vegetables, not so much sweets. So I did start to crave like carrots and cucumbers with ranch dressing, which is very good that I'm craving because normally I'm not the best at eating really healthy, but the fact that I've been craving, and this has continued, vegetables and fruit, it's been like lifesaver for me. All right, going into week 9, I don't think that this started week 9, but the vivid dreams really, really have been affecting me this whole pregnancy. I don't know what it is, but every night, and I think it has been every single night since finding out that I'm pregnant, every dream has been so, so vivid. It almost takes away from the sleep, in my opinion, because my mind still feels like it's working really hard while I'm sleeping, and I'm having these like really, really, really detailed dreams, and that has not stopped. But vivid dreams are real up in here. I wrote down that armpit BO smells weird. That is an interesting one. I don't think that continued because I haven't really noticed that, but apparently I did notice it in week 9. Okay, so this is when the frequent peeing really kicked it into high gear. I wrote down peed 14 times one night, full bladder directly after peeing. This still has been happening, and I know for a fact, because I've heard from so many women, that this will continue and get worse, basically, as I get bigger and baby gets bigger. But the level of pee that has exited my body in the past few weeks has been insane. So the best way I can describe this is after going to the bathroom, I stand up and instantly I feel like my bladder is completely full again. Like, this is not even a joke. I've had numerous times where I've peed, stood up to pull my pants up, and then had to pee again. Like, this is real. And I know, like, they say, like, oh, pregnant women, they have to pee a lot. I always thought it was, like, in a cute way, like, oh, she has to pee again. No, this is real, and it is not fun at all. Like, no. This has probably been one of the symptoms that has been the most annoying to me. I would rather feel sick. Like, this, actually, no, I wouldn't rather feel sick. But you get what I'm saying. It's not fun at all. Like, I would not wish this upon anybody. I pee at least like 6 to 8 times throughout the night. I wake up, it feels like every hour, and it probably is about every hour that I have to wake up, to go to the bathroom, get back in bed, wake up. It really does ruin your night's sleep. Let us see. Oh, when I was 9.5 weeks, I actually had my first ultrasound, and it was so, so fun. That was so, so cool. Because my first appointment, we didn't get to see the baby. I just got a pap smear, all the boring stuff. But then when we finally got to go to the ultrasound, it was so cool. I was not expecting the internal transvaginal ultrasound. that is something that I do want to warn people to be aware of, that if you are getting an early ultrasound before, I think it's like 10 weeks, maybe it's before 12, I'm not sure, that it most likely will be internal, and I went into it not knowing that. So that was a bit of a surprise and a bit of an adjustment when I got there. And it wasn't exactly the most comfortable thing, but it was totally worth it. And it doesn't hurt at all. It just, I was not mentally prepared for what I had to do. Oh, and then I wrote down again for the same week, week 9, I wrote in all caps, frequent urination, bladder never feels empty, and I tested negative for a UTI. So I did, when this like frequent urination happened, I did go to the doctor, or I called my doctor to get a UTI test because I am more prone to UTIs and I always have been, hashtag dehydration station. So I did go and get a test. I did test negative, but I was a little bit worried because it was like kind of hurting and like happening so frequently, but everything was good down there. Week 10, frequent peeing has continued. So apparently this has really put a damper in my lifestyle because every week I've written about it and it still has continued. Vivid dreams have continued, craving savory foods, and no spaghetti. So a new aversion that has occurred has been spaghetti. Absolutely not craving spaghetti at all. So that's kind of unfortunate because we eat a lot of spaghetti normally. And then I did group 11 and 12 weeks together because my symptoms at this point haven't really changed. I think at the beginning it was like, oh, this new symptom would like pop up, but then they kind of continued. Some would like taper off and then come back. So weeks 11 and 12, I wrote bloating at the end of the day, especially. So after I'd eaten, had a full day, which I know is very normal even when you're not pregnant, but I was feeling extremely bloated. And that's when I start to actually look pregnant. So right now I kind of still look the same. I mean, I'm not the smallest girl. So I don't really, it's hard to tell that I'm pregnant right now. But at the end of the day, I do notice that the lower abdomen area has bloated, which I know is normal at this stage. So I'm excited to see what else my belly is going to do throughout this pregnancy. It's going to be cool to watch. Nausea has subsided, thank goodness. It comes and goes every now and then, especially if I smell something weird or eat something that doesn't really taste super great, or think about foods. Like if I think about a food that is like an aversion, it starts to make me feel nauseous. But for the most part, the nausea has subsided. I'm getting my energy back, but I have become kind of emotional. Not like mood swingy, but like when I'm watching a movie and like something sad happens, I'll cry like pretty much instantly. So more like I'm like triggered to cry when it comes to things that are like emotional in any sort of way. Even if I hear someone talking about something, it'll make me emotional. So we got the blood test for the gender and the NIPT testing done on October 31st, which was right shortly after being 10 weeks, I think. I was about 10 and a half weeks. And we found out on November 12th after we got the blood test results, and my cousin she actually got the results, and then we had our party, that it's a boy. So that is super, super exciting. And I guess that's all that I've wrote down. I'm officially in my second trimester, and I do plan on doing another video at the end of my second trimester, and then hopefully I can fit in a third trimester one before baby comes. So I hope that you guys enjoyed. I hope this was helpful. If you do have any questions for me, feel free to drop those down below, and maybe I will do like a Q&A. If you have questions for my husband, maybe like how he reacted or how this has affected him, maybe we could do a Q&A together. So look forward to that in the future. Feel free to drop those questions down below. Give this video a like, comment, subscribe, do all those things, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!